Hello, everybody. I want to do a little extra information on your literary response paper. But before we move forward, I want to talk about you staying in college. Please do not give up. You can register for online classes, and so I really encourage you to do that. It's very important that you stay in college. I'm not sure exactly when we're going to have face-to-face classes. That probably won't be until the fall. But the summer, there are going to be some summer sessions. So if you register, please do that. You can still register for the fall, but the only thing that's probably going to be available is online right now. So please do that. You need to do your education. You need to finish this. You need to think of the future. What's going on now in the world should not dictate to you on what you should do for the future. So I really encourage you to stay in school, to get your education, because you know what? All this that's going on is going to pass. And you need to have something to fall back on, and your education is one of those things that you can fall back on. So please do that. Also, it looks good on your resume that you continued to better yourself during a time of crisis. So I want to encourage you to do that. So please get in there, be diligent with your work, and everything's going to be okay, okay? All right, so today I want to talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about the literary response paper. I want to talk about the rough draft. The reason why I have a rough draft is because I want to be able to look at your paper and make sure that you're on the right track. I'm not going to look for grammar. I'm not going to look for content. What I'm going to look for is to make sure that you have an introductory paragraph, that you have 6 paragraphs in the body, and that you have a concluding paragraph. I'm also going to look to see if you have a works cited page with a citation reference in it. I'm also going to look to make sure that you have a thesis statement. The thesis statement is always at the end of the introductory paragraph, and I'm going to look for that. And if you notice in this paper, I say in this analysis paper, I will be showing the similarities and the differences between the wolf character in Little Red Riding Hood and the 3 little pigs. So that is my thesis statement. I'm going to show you the difference between the two. So make sure that you do that. I'm going to look to make sure that you have introduced your story and the main point of your story. Make sure you look at the examples of how I have done the introductory paragraph. Make sure that you have a quote from the story. If there are no quotes from the story, then you will probably be getting a very low grade. In fact, it's not even a research paper. It's not even an analysis paper, okay? If there are no quotes, you're probably going to get no less or no more than 50 points on this paper. So make sure that you have quotes in your paper. This is how you do it. I have an example here. Make sure that your quotes are towards the end of your paper, okay? So, towards the end of the paragraph, okay? Now, I have a bunch of quotes here showing how all this works together. And so you're going to do things in a similar fashion. Again, I have quotes. Now remember, one quote after another is probably not going to be the best thing, but I am giving information about that. Now this is kind of the basics of how to do it. I don't have a full paper here, but make sure that you follow this. But like I said, in the rough draft, I'm just looking to make sure that you've done things properly. A quote, like I said, belongs like the second to the last sentence. You may use more than one quote in a paragraph. Just make sure that you explain the quotes. and go from there. You are not doing outside research, so do not look at articles in the library or books at the library. You are only quoting from the story, not anything else, okay? So make sure that you realize that. This is very important because it will be part of your grade that you do it right. So follow that. Now this has to be, what did I say, 700 to 1100 words. So you should be doing that, staying within that range. This is like I said, a literary response paper. I want to know what you think about the paper. Let's go on and make sure that we got everything here. Talked about the rough draft, the final draft. Okay, once you get done, I'm going to tell you if you're on the right track. You're going to make the changes that I tell you to make from your rough draft on your final draft. This is my way of helping you get the best grade that you can get. So if you don't put in for the rough draft, if you don't submit a complete paper, it has to be a complete paper. If you don't submit that to the rough draft, I can't help you make the best grade that you possibly can on the final draft. Okay? So please submit your rough draft, and this way I can give you guidance on what to do. Don't expect me to look at content. Don't expect me to look at grammar on your rough draft. That's for later. I'm just making sure you're on the right track. Do you have topic sentences? Do you introduce your quotes? Do you summarize events that lead up to your quote? Do you have enough paragraphs? You should, in this paper, have 8 paragraphs. So 8 paragraphs, that's that, 8 paragraphs. So make sure that you have 8 paragraphs, and that should get you there. And I think this is 1100 words. So I was probably wrong on the 700. So you should be closer to that 1100 words. Okay? So I'm going to make this. Here we go. This paper should be 1100 words long. Now, if you are at 900, I'm probably not going to quibble over that. So let's just say 900, well, I'm going to say 700 to 1100 words long. So that will give you, so you should have quite a bit in there. You should have 8 paragraphs, should be around normal. Maybe 6, but 8 is what you're aiming for. Okay. So anyways, your final draft should have all the corrections that I gave you on your rough draft. Make sure that you look for grammar mistakes. Many things that you need to make sure of is don't put in your paper second person pronouns. Now there may be second person pronouns in your quotes, but not in what you write. Okay? So second person pronouns are you, and your. Okay? And yourself. Just leave second person pronouns out. Please do not use very many I's. The pronoun, first person pronoun. I believe. I see it this way. I remember. I like this part. I think the comment here is, yeah, just leave those kind of phrases out. Just describe what's going on. Use a quote. Establish a theme. Maybe you want to talk about, coming of age, Maybe you want to talk about, you know, a character's personality compared with another person's personality. Maybe you want to talk about how the mind copes with something. Maybe you want to go into psychology about the yellow wallpaper. Maybe you want to talk about how the dog in To Build a Fire was the smart one, and that the guy should have listened to the dog. Maybe you want to, in The Cask of Amontillado, maybe you want to talk about how that human nature can be so evil and bad, and talk about the different points of the person's deception. So these are all kind of interesting points. Maybe you want to talk about the caverns, the place where the wine is stored in the Cask of Amontillado. Maybe you want to talk about that in more details, about how it's maybe metaphorical of something. So there's a lot of direction that you can go with this. Let's go back, and I want to show you some of the other stories that are in here. Let me see here. Maybe you want to talk about Samson. Samson and Delilah. Maybe you want to talk about a man's ego and how that ego had destroyed Samson. Maybe his lust. Maybe he'd gotten so far away from his calling that he, when he's not following God, that how it destroyed his life, how lust and how his hunger for power and prestige caused him to not fulfill his calling to destroy the Philistines in Israel. The lottery. Maybe you want to talk about human nature and how willing it is to do harm in order to protect the whole. Or maybe you want to compare the lottery with, Katniss in that story where, what is that called? The Hunger Games. Maybe you want to compare lottery with the Hunger Games. Maybe you want to compare the lottery with Divergent. I thought Divergent was better than the Hunger Games. And what this is the elites deciding what is best for the common people. Kind of sometimes the way we experience things in America today. So there's a lot of themes that you could take. Just describing human nature. Some of these themes, maybe you want to talk about how in To Build a Fire, it's man versus nature, and how man or humans should respect nature. So all these are kind of common themes that you could take. If you have any questions, please give me a call. You have my number. You have my email. You can text me. I'll be more than happy to discuss this with you if you need further discussion. All right, you guys have a great day.